Uh, Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome for joining. Thank you for joining my session, my Ride the Lightning session on a little gem called Azure Static Websites. First of all, I want to thank our sponsors of this wonderful Azure Day, which is unfortunately still in a digital event. So I hope one day we can meet again, all in real life. But this wouldn't be even possible in a digital way if it weren't for the sponsors. So thank you very much, mille grazie, for your support to a community event, which is very nicely organized. Thank you for that. Maybe a little bit about myself. My name is Mike Martin. I am a Belgian. Not that the name would show it, but I am Belgian, and I'm sorry for that. We have not a good reputation, unfortunately. I work for Microsoft as a technical evangelist slash cloud solution architect. And you can talk to me about anything basically in regards to Azure, DevOps, and security related to the both of them. So I'm a little bit on those things. And um, today I want to take you on a quick journey because it was kind of a lightning talk that we needed to present here on a quick journey with a little bit of slides and a lot of showing around in with everything in regards to Azure Storage static websites. So first setting the scene maybe, and it could be confusing for most of the people here, but we do have a lot of ways of hosting websites nowadays in Azure. We have, of course, app services, and you can run your workloads into containers, host them there in VMs. We can also host them in Kubernetes if you have a lot of big workloads, and that can be for any kind of web application, of course. But we see a rise on what we have not seen for a long time is the rise again of the static website, which is really, really cool because a static website can be really, really powerful, and you can use all the compute power on the side of a browser instead of on a server, which is really, really, really useful. Now, but we as Microsoft, we make it even more confusing because we offer you that much choice, and we even have two native offerings for static websites. So we have, on the one hand side, we have Azure App Services static websites, static web apps. This is not what this is going to be about. This is really about Azure Storage, how you can benefit from that, and where there is an additional benefit next to the app services. Now, app services does have a lot of features that you can use. I mean, you have integration with GitHub Actions and all these things for making a better DevOps workaround, and all these integrations with monitoring and all these things. You can achieve the same things with static websites, but for half the price, which is really, really cool. You can actually run static websites on storage a lot cheaper than anything else. And this is what this little lightning talk is all about. Maybe first a little bit of explanation what Azure Storage is, because that will actually make it more comprehensible. So you all probably, when you're doing Azure, you probably already came across with an Azure Storage account for numerous reasons. Maybe it was just to host some files, maybe it was just to host some basic queues, and we do have a couple of offerings in an Azure Storage account. The basics, I'm not talking about data lakes because that's an additional feature that you can talk about, but it also comes into that range. But the basic 4 elements that you have in a storage account is file, queue, table, and blob. Now, all these, they make up their own fully qualified name with the storage account name, then .file, .queue, .table, .blob, and then .core Windows.net. So you can easily access a storage account over HTTP or HTTPS, which is good, which makes it easy. Of course, you need to set some security rules on top of that, and it can be a good idea to integrate some authentication mechanism on all of these things on top of those things. Right. Now, when we talk about the Azure Storage static websites, we have an additional endpoint that gets created. It also ends with the core Windows.NET suffix, but we have web, and we have a zoning name in between, and the storage account name. So it will be concise out of storage account name dot something something dot web dot core dot windows.net, and that becomes your landing zone for your web pages. Right now, if you take a look at it on how you enabled it, it's actually pretty easy. We have, and I'm going to go this through. I'm going to do this through the browser, to the portal. So I have here my I have here a storage account, and there is a section inside of the data management blade into a storage account. So I just created an empty storage account. And if you want to make sure that you want to use the static web pages, you need to go through static websites. So it's this little highlight here that will make all the magic happen. So static website. So if you click on that, we get a configuration page. And as you see, this one is disabled. Now, if I enable this, we first of all see a couple of things. It will ask you for a document index name and a error document path. Now, the index name is just your default website page. So that can be index.html, default.html, whatever you want to call it. And the error document path is actually a folder where you're going to place your customized 404 or customized error pages with even some images in there. So that way you can actually clean it up a little bit and you can create your own 404 experience like you would have, like, let's say, for GitHub, for instance, where you have the nice little Star Wars background. So this is all you need to do to set this up. And then you save this. And then if you save this, you will actually get, and I'm going to go to an enabled one already, you will actually get an additional thing to see, which is the primary endpoint for this specific static website. So you now can start browsing this site, and I can just demonstrate this. If I do a Control-T, I can actually say Control-V. If I go there, so this I created this one just in front of the session. I just can go there, and as you can see, it just really fast gives me back my web page, my static web page. Okay, so setting it up is not that hard. Now, of course, it becomes a little bit more interesting where you can do not only showing it from the portal, because you can then just start uploading. So now the only thing that you need to do is upload your files inside of the storage account. So you can use the Storage Explorer for that from the website. But of course, it would be easy if you just use the tools of the trade for developing your sites. Now, we have a couple of extensions in Visual Studio Code. And Visual Studio Code is really, really strong in making applications available widely and making you help develop applications really, really strongly. So I just have the same page that you just saw here. It's just a stupid HTML page with some an index page. It has some images. It has an image folder here, and it has the error environment which I created. So you can see there's a 404 page here, just really, really stupid, nothing fancy, just to show that I have no programming skills whatsoever, and even no designer skills whatsoever. Okay, so the thing is that we can from here out now deploy this to a new static storage base. So first of all, Visual Studio comes with extensions, as I mentioned, and there's one extension that you can use that actually enables this, and that's just the Azure extension. So if I look for Azure, you'll see the Azure tools. And for some reason, for me, the icon doesn't update to the new shiny fluid icon, but I'll just go with that. And the Azure tools will actually give you two things that you need. You need the storage one, and there's also the Azure account, which it's not highlighted anymore here, as I can, CLI tools, and the account, which will then be integrated inside of the Visual Studio Code experience. Now, I installed those, so Azure tools is what you need. That's the minimum that you need. So now I can start using, so let's say that I finished my application. Now I can start deploying this from within Visual Studio Code. Now I will show you a CI/CD way in just a couple of minutes too, because you know, friends don't let friends right click and publish, right? But this is exactly what I'm going to do. I'm just going to show you what it does behind the scenes and how it works. So Visual Studio Code has this extension for storage, and I can now, and this integrates immediately into a right click. When I right click on the folder structure, I can immediately go to the bottom, and you can see here that I have a function here called deploy to static website via Azure Storage. So if I now click this, I will get being thrown through a non-visual wizard where I can just start moving and updating my files, or just start deploying my files. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to create a new storage account. I'm going to say here, make it a globally unique name. So I'm going to go AZ Day Live Demo. That should be unique, I think. And if not, Visual Studio Code will hint that for me and saying that it is not unique. So I can just go with enter here. Oh, it's, come on. All right, Murphy's going bad on me. Let's try that again. So let's try that again. You will always see that something will happen. So I need to wait a second before the extension gets back activated. So let's try that again. So I can do here, deploy to Azure Static. For some reason, it's taking a little bit longer than expected. Come on. Murphy, I need to keep him out of my I need to keep him out of my environment, right? Come on. Let's see if I can just enforce it through this one. Yeah, now it's really going. So let's then take it from here. So you saw the little A. This is what you get as the management tooling, and this will load your subscriptions in the background. It will help you build your storage environment and give you an overview of all your storage accounts that you have. And come on. Right. And it looks something like this. Luckily, I have a secondary copy open. It looks like something like this, and you will get indeed a folder where you can actually look at all the different landing pages for your environment. So this is a Blazor thing. This is the next demo that I'm going to do. So this folder web, this is where you will put all your static files. Okay, and then if we then take a look, this will be actually your landing zone for your WW root as you would know it. I hope it gets there very soon, because this is annoying. Come on. Why is it not loading as expected? Come on. I need to do this. Okay. So typically you will have a right click, and I can just say let's do another demo from here, right? I can just pick up the static files from here. So okay. So I have here a an output already of a Razor file, and I can just do a right click deploy on this folder saying, so I can do a right click deploy on this folder saying deploy this to static Azure websites. I can just do a create a new storage account. I can go with AZ Live Blazor, AZ Day Live Blazor. I need to publish this first, but this is already there, so I'm going to use this. Oh, no, come on. Not fair. This is not good. This is not good. Why? I'm just gonna close it for a second, because there's seems to be something wrong with my VS Code, and I had everything prepared. Unfortunately, luckily I still have some time, so let's do this again. There we go. And we now get action to my storage accounts, activating extensions. That's exactly what I need. Still loading, come on. All right. While this is loading, maybe I'll just continue with my presentation for a second and then just do the demos afterwards. So, because this is not the way it should be going, but okay, there we go. Right. So I explained to you the structure of a storage account. So now we can just use the blob landing zone as our website. Now, a typical architecture for Azure Storage websites is looking something like this. So it's a little bit more complex than just a basic storage account that you're going to need. Why is that? Because you typically don't want to use only a static site. You also want to interact with some APIs that you want to build. And to make it really, really good and cheap, the best way to do that is in combination with functions on the free version. So that way you can just call them and just do your interactions in the backend. So let's say that you need to upload files or something. It's a function that you're going to call and you're just going to put that back into storage. Or you're going to write away documents back into Azure Cosmos DB if you want to do some record maintenance or stuff like that. So there's a lot of things that you can actually build with this just by combining this also with something called front doors. And why do you want to do that? Because front door gives you the edge of adding a CDN in front of this. And this is when it becomes blindingly fast. Why? Because the CDN will bring the proximity of all the sources to the closest edge node of your storage account. And this will make it globally distributable, globally accessible for everybody. And with correct URL endpoint in front of it, you have, by means of front door, you also have a load balancing mechanism and a failover mechanism. So that way you can even have multiple storage accounts, just point them back to the front door. And then you have a routing table and a full front-end pool and a back-end pool that you can use to set up your entire environment. Now, front door is very good for this because it also comes with the ability to do the newer versions, comes with the ability to add firewall policies and web application firewall. So that way you have everything in one. You just have two services that you need for hosting your static websites, and it will be protected. It will be DDoS protected. It will be making it fast thanks to CDN. And this is a little bit how you should play around with it. Now, the cool thing about this, there's actually a reference architecture that Microsoft made 2 years ago called the URL list, which you can read upon, and I will put the slides at your disposal afterwards, which you can read upon on the URL list. There's actually a little about button on top of this page, and they actually use the architecture that I just showed you in this page. They actually use this kind of an architecture. So they have function apps in the backend, which will start adding URLs or deleting URLs and getting previews of the pages so that you can start saving a URL list, because this is what the site is about. And it gives you that extra usage with even page validation, making sure that they're there, and they do a lot of funky stuff with it. It's really, really nice to see. But the beauty of it all is that front door is actually the main part of entry, but everything else here is the front end is the backend pool in storage accounts, and the URL list backend is all in APIs being pushed inside of Azure Functions. So it's a really clean serverless architecture that you can just maintain for a couple of dollars actually, or a couple of euros per month. It costs you less than a coffee actually to make it sure. To show you how these configurations work in In front door, I can actually show you this. So I created a standard old school front door, which just does rerouting to the main page. So you have the front door designer here that you can set up, where you have the front-end domains. And this domain is unique for the front door itself. So this will always be your DNS single point of failure landing zone, which will point to any kind of the IPs here. So this is a global service that you can just touch. It's a little bit like Traffic Manager, and it gives you that benefit of being highly available. And then you have all these backend pools where you can add multiple of these backend pools just by adding the correct storage link. So as you can see here, this is how you create those. If I make it a little bit smaller, I get more on the screen. You will see here that this one is configured just by stating to the storage account, which is already existing. As you can see, the Z6, that's the XX that I mentioned earlier, and the daystat that you have here, which is my storage account. You can add as many backends as you want. You can make them enabled or disabled with the help probe, and then you just need to take a look at the protocol that you want to target upon. And then all the routing goes behind the scenes. You can even do this with a integrated CDN mechanism, and this is where it becomes even more interesting, because if I go to the more advanced standard premium SKUs of front door, which is the new version that we offer, there's even a CDN integration with which is called actually cache, and this will help you make your application a little bit more bigger. You can find this here inside of the not here problem. So there's a button here that you can actually purge a cache, and the cache itself can be set here. The origin groups. Where you can see here, figure this. There is a caching mechanism here that you can set, and if you enable this, you will enable this to the CDN. Okay, so having that said, now I hope my Visual Studio is back. I can actually show you a quick deployment of a static with. There we go. All right, now we can finally demonstrate again. So luckily, I walked through this. So let's try this again. Hopefully without any further issues here. So let's go for the again for the static web page. So why am I not seeing this now? Just say, there we go. So let's deploy this to a static website via Azure Storage. I'm going to give a storage account. There we go. So I'm going to create a new one. Easy day, Italy, just to make sure, live. All right, now it works. I'm just going to deploy it to a recently used resource group, because you always need a resource group to monitor everything. Easy day. Would you like to enable static website hosting? So it will do the enablement for me, so I don't have to go to the storage account. It will enable it for me. Yes, I will use the index.html. There we go. I will use the editor. So I will just do editor document path. So editor. There we go. And I want to deploy this in Western Europe. Now, this is creating me the storage account in Western Europe, as you can see here, with a standard local redundancy set. And if I now go to my storage accounts immediately, you'll see that it is creating the AZ storage, the AZ Day Italy live storage account. It takes a couple of seconds or even minutes to create this one. Hopefully it comes back soon. There we go. It configured it. It has been enabled, and now it is deploying. So what it now is doing is actually outputting and uploading the storage to the environment. As you can see here, it uploaded 5 files, yeah, and it immediately gives me back a result saying browse to the website. So if I now go browse website, you will actually see if my browser pops up. There you go. It will actually open my website, azd.italylive.core.website. So it just uploaded my website, gave me a path back, and it works. Now it works also for Blazor, as I try to show you. So what you need to do then is you need to deploy it. So if you want to do static websites with Blazor, you just need to do the WebAssembly part. So you need to do .NET new WASM file. And then you just publish it to a folder, and you just do the same thing from here. Right? So here I have a, there's a doc. I think I took the wrong, yeah, I took the wrong folder. It's okay. So you just do an output file and just do a right click on that folder and just deploy it back to static websites through Azure. Now it gets more interesting if you do this through a full CI/CD. Now, Azure Static Websites comes with CI/CD implemented immediately. For static sites, as you saw, it's just a copying option. It doesn't come out of the box, but making a GitHub action is really not that hard when you are doing this for static. So let me just show you what this looks like. So I have here the same Blazor file. So it's a standard Blazor app that I did. And what you have here is I created a YAML file, a workflow file. And this workflow just looks like this. So what I have is yeah, there was some other stuff in there because I started off with a build for a web app, but I decided to move that inside of a static file. So I can just use that, and these are just laid over. Doing this for .NET 6.0. Why? Because I can. But the beauty now here lies inside of this. So if I make this a little bit bigger, you will see that you first need to log into your Azure account, making it easy. Do an actions checkout because you need to check out your sources. And then we're going to build our static pages. So what I did here, I first do a restore, then I do a .NET build inside of my working directory with a certain configuration. And so I defined them here, configuration, the working directory. And then I'm going to do the testing. Of course, you need testing for that. And then I'm going to do a publish. Yeah. And the publishing itself is just putting this into an output folder with a web app package path. And then comes the beauty of it all. Since it's just storage, what I did is I created a storage account in advance. You can create an ARM template, which will then deploy or redeploy that storage account or adapt or reconfigure that storage account. You can do that. Or you can just do an additional AZ and create it out of here and check for that existence too. But I just went with one that was already existing. What you need to do is, first of all, you want to purge the data in there. So I'm gonna, I purged here the AZ storage blob by doing a delete batch of all the files that are in there. And I did that on the web folder, which is created once you enable static websites. And then after that, I just go into my package path and I'm gonna copy just the files by doing an AZ storage blob upload batch to the account name with the account key, which I store as a secret. There's other ways of doing that, but this is the easiest one. And then I'm gonna copy all the files that are being found here in this path that I have. And as a last thing, with Azure GitHub Actions, you can actually put out the website that you created on the storage account, and I even put in the front door in front of that. So if I then start running this, I can actually say, let me just do a check-in into my files here, because this one is that's the other one. It's this one. So I checked in a file here. So if I now change, for instance, this file here, and I add, come on, I'm going to change the file here. So this one, I'm going to add here this little piece. I'm going to copy this. I'm going to say it's a temperature, so I'm just going to fetch some data from a JSON file. And the temperature here is 35 degrees, and it's going to be summer in Italy. voila, let's clean this up a little bit. There we go. So I just do a save of this file. I'm gonna do a commit of this file. I'm gonna stage this first. I'm gonna commit this, made some nice weather. You always need to have some fun with your commit messages. For AZ day. Now, if I just commit this, commit all, and I then do a sync, there we go. I'm gonna push this and commit this back to my origin. There we go. As you can see, it's uploading now. If I now go back to my GitHub environment, you will see normally that the commit should have been there. Should be this one. Yeah, 25 seconds ago. And now my action got kicked in. Actually, it kicked in a couple of ones because I also do security testing on CodeQL, but that's not the most important one. I want to see this one. So now you can see that actually it's going to start building it, and then it's going to return me the URL. And you see something special here. I use an environment, so that way I can expose the URL afterwards and just continue kicking it. So while this is running, you will see it's just basic GitHub Actions that is running. It's doing the authority because I need to log in first into Azure, and then do the running of it. If we then take a look at a summary of a previous action that I run, you will actually see the result for this. And then I think it's this one. Yeah, this is the last one that ran successfully. You will see that it deployed it nicely to AZDAT, and I can just click on this. And you will see that it will load my Blazor app. And you just have to believe me. Now it's still just Italian weather, and it will change in just a second, but the build will take a couple of more minutes to run, as you can see here. So let's go and see back into our actions, see where we are. It's almost there. So it's now running the AZ command, so it's gonna override it. So the publish part it did. See commands, come on. It's always fun. I see there are some questions in the meantime. Oh, okay. Sorry, my Italian isn't that good, but apparently there's a question about me. All right, so here we are. As you can see, it's now copying all the files of the Blazor, as you can see. And normally this should be failing anytime soon. See, 189 files, because there's also some copying of the framework. There we go, almost there. This goes a little bit faster. It created my static site. It does the post. And there you are. Now it will also get the front door access URL. And if you then take a look at the summary now, I can actually click on this site, which wasn't there before. It's still running, as you can see. And here we go. So if I click now here, let's see what it did and where we made some nice Italian weather. That's still the same. Okay, there's something went wrong. Maybe it's caching. Ah, yeah, there we are. It wasn't fully there yet. It's still caching. Let's try it again. Yeah, it stays the same. Okay, there's something wrong with on my end, so I need to check it out. And then you can also go through the front door, which does pointing back to the static sites. And if you have multiple, you can actually use them from there. All right, that was for the demo. As I showed, there's the docs here, static website hosting in Azure Storage, aka .ms static search that you can use. Again, it was a lightning talk, so I tried to do as much as demoing. Unfortunately, the demo gods were against me, but just crashing my Visual Studio and wouldn't get coming back up. But you saw it was really, really easy, just like getting started. And even getting it started with GitHub Actions, It's just a copying functionality that you need to do of your files and making sure that everything is being built. Okay, with that I say thank you, grazie mille grazie. Again, a thank you to our sponsors. And I hope you enjoyed this quick session on Azure Static Storage websites, which is really a hidden gem if you want to run a website in a very low budget. Okay, that was it.
Wow, Mike, very, very beautiful season.
Yeah, I'm sorry about the VS Code, man. It really like.
And I had no problem.
I had even prefer. I didn't understand the question for the producer team one. Per quali domanda potete scrivere chi e Mike?
No. It's a communication I send to attendee.
Okay, that's good. So no questions there then. Okay, I wish you. Yes.
Wait a few moments if any question come in.
Yes, of course. Of course, that's wouldn't be too bad. I do hope you enjoyed it, and I do hope you will have a great remainder of the day. I hope it was a success so far.
Okay.
Doesn't seem that there's any questions popping up. Okay.
But now question for you.
Yes.
Thank you for your contribution at the next event.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Mille grazie. Ciao a tutti.
Ciao, grazie a te, ciao. Bye.